And you're like, when's he going to talk about fried chicken? Fried chicken's number one, I'll just tell you now. If it wasn't number one, you'd all be like throwing rotten tomatoes at me, you'd be like leaving me hater comments. Hi there mga kabano. So, we've been talking a lot on Maputing Cooking about the history and the origins of Filipino food and all of these interesting culinary influences from Malay to Chinese, Spanish, Indian, and today we're going to talk about the USA influence on Filipino food and what are some of the top dishes that have been inspired by US cooking dito sa Pilipinas today. Now, so what specifically did American cooking bring? So firstly, in terms of cooking techniques, it brought a lot of 20th century modern appliances. So things like, pressure cookers to allow for like fast, rapid softening of meat in cooking, microwaves, deep fryers, electric stoves, electric mixers and blenders, food processors, those kind of equipments that could be then used in the kitchen, both to save time, but also adding different cooking techniques. And of course, food-wise, the focus was really on these imported, the canned goods, processed meats in can, corned beef, Spam, instant or fast food. So, we have quite an industrialized food system here from the Philippines, and that was really inherited from that American period. My number 5 on my list today is macaroni salad. Macaroni, obviously, a type of pasta which you would go, oh, isn't that Italian? But the USA has a huge Italian community, and I would say the USA now almost has, I would say American Italian is almost like a new style of cooking, right? I think it's now very different from Italian, if that makes any sense. And then macaroni salad has come to the Philippines in an extremely different way, which I think an Italian trying macaroni salad would just be like, what is this? They would almost struggle to even recognize that that's an Italian dish because probably the only thing left that's Italian there is the macaroni. So what do we put in macaroni salad is things like mayonnaise. So you mix it through. It's almost like a salad that you would have at, I don't know, a picnic or a daytime handa. Typically it's served cold, so you put your mayonnaise through, which makes it creamy. But then you put in things that are sweet like raisins for this like pops of sweetness. You might put in some carrots, some celery, something like this. So a few vegetables, but largely it's carbs, mayo. The mayonnaise is sometimes a sweeter style mayonnaise as well, which I don't particularly love. But why Filipinos love to make macaroni salad is it's easy to churn out this in bulk. It's like making pancit, right? Like you can really make that in bulk to feed the buong barangay. And macaroni salad is something that's easy. You cook a huge pot of pasta and then you just literally just stirring through a few things and bang, you've got a pretty tasty and very fast and easy to make dish. So number 4 on my list today is the Buco pie. It's not hard to guess what the Buco pie is inspired by. So in America, they would be like, we've got like so many apples. What are we gonna do with all these apples? I know, we'll make a pie. So you bake the pie, you stew the apples, you put them in the pie, you eat it, it's delicious. Now in the Philippines, of course, apples were an imported good. They don't grow here. It's not a place you can really grow apples. So mahal talaga yung mansanas dito sa Pilipinas. As a result, Filipinos looking around with that same problem. They're like, man, we've got so many Buco. What are we gonna do with all this Buco? And then there's this idea like, well, the Americans make these apple pies, right? What if we stick Buco in a pie? And that is actually the origins of Buco pie in the Philippines. It originates in Los Baños in Laguna, and there's family there who were making apple pies, but the apples were too expensive as an imported good, so they're like, well, what if we just put in Buco, which is really cheap and we have lots of here in Laguna, and the Buco pie was born. So you get that white meat, the Buco meat from inside that, and that pretty much is what you use instead of your apple, and you're going to sort of put layers of that and then finish it with a pie crust. So it's wrapped in pastry effectively and then baked, and that's quite delicious. Nobody comes back from Tagaytay or from Laguna without Buco pie as pasalubong here in the Philippines. So number 3 on my list today, it is of course the hamburger or sliders. They're smaller cousins. So the hamburger became ubiquitous in the United States very quickly, and obviously they've gone on global chains. They have been so successful and they've been built on the back of the hamburger. It's tasty, it's easy to eat, it's easy to mass produce, like to really standardize it as a sandwich. And it's something that you can eat when you're traveling. And that was always the advantage of the sandwich, was a complete meal that you could hold in your hand. So in the Philippines, that was something introduced by the Americans, but obviously again, Filipinos have been quite successful in adapting the tastes to the local palate. And I find if you look at, say, Jollibee versus McDonald's when it comes to the burgers, Jollibee has some burger types that are more, I guess, panglasang Pinoy in terms of having this secret sauce. So anyway, there's nothing better than a really, really good burger. And I think what's been cool in the last few years, there's to see there's a few like burger places coming in who are going, yeah, we're really gonna go hard on a quality burger, like bring back the quality burger, because I think it's something that's become very, very like fast food and generic. I like that to see like more gourmet boutique burger places coming back, because it is totally delicious. And I wanted to do a tribute recipe myself to this culinary influence on the Philippines. So I actually made Chris Urbano's ultimate Fil-Am sliders. And what I wanted to do was actually get that perfect combination of USA and Philippine flavors on the same slider. So what I started with was like, okay, well, instead of a bun, let's use a pandesal. And then I was like, okay, now instead of the burger meat, let's make a corned beef slider. That's a thing. Corned beef sliders are delicious with caramelized onions and a little bit of brown sugar. So it was almost like a sweeter style corned beef. So very panglasang Pinoy there. And then we finished off the little pandesal and finished it with a Pinoy and US flag. An essential ingredient, don't forget the flag, it makes it taste better. So try that recipe out if you want to try burgers too. Number 2 on my list, and you're like, when's he going to talk about fried chicken? Fried chicken's number 1, I'll just tell you now. Number 2 is spaghetti. Jolly spaghetti in particular. When we talk about jolly spaghetti, like, yeah, it's kind of a pun, I guess, on Jollibee, and they would probably claim it, but I think jolly spaghetti refers to more than just the type that's served specifically at Jollibee. It's taking spaghetti, and that, I guess, inherently is an Italian pasta. Why I say this is a US influence on the Philippines is that Filipinos add basically processed tomato sauce, processed meat, typically hot dogs. Sometimes they'll tip in condensed cream or condensed milk into it to fortify it a bit more, make it creamier, but it's really like spaghetti mixed with a bunch of US products. That's what we're talking about here. It could be Spam that you put in, it could be those like tin Vienna sausages that are popular. There's a few different types of meat, but it's typically going to be a form of processed pork, maybe even a bit of ham. That's all fine to put in jolly spaghetti. It has almost no fresh vegetables, which is slightly concerning about this dish for me. I actually think I would like to cook jolly spaghetti with putting in a few more vegetables, but the tomato sauce is usually like a little sweet, kind of sweet sachets where you pour it in, and I've definitely mixed some sugar through. Or in some cases, it's actually a banana ketchup that they're using for the spaghetti. And banana ketchup obviously being the Philippines' answer to tomato ketchup, with bananas being a lot more cheap and widely available here. But this has really become part of the Philippine national psyche. It's something you have at birthday parties, people who take their children to Jollibee for their birthday parties. It's always going to be on the menu. Similar to macaroni salad, you can prepare this in huge quantities to feed the entire barangay. So just basically packets of pasta and a few things from your pantry, you very quickly manufacture something that will fill stomachs quickly. And number 1 on my list, and if it wasn't number 1, you'd all be like throwing rotten tomatoes at me, you'd be like leaving me hater comments. Yeah, it's the fried chicken. What makes Filipino fried chicken different? I would say 2 things. Firstly is a slight oriental seasoning to it, right? So normally 5-spice powder is a thing in your chicken marinade or in your breading. So normally if I'm making a fried chicken, or kaligayahan ng manok as I call it, and I did make this at home. This is how my one looks. Like, we made it from scratch. So this is a real homemade kaligayahan ng manok, like classic Filipino fried chicken. So we'll mix in some salt, some pepper, 5-spice powder into the breading. Now the really important thing to get that crunchy, thick coating is you need to double dredge it. So this is probably different to a lot of other countries' fried chicken. What you're going to do is first do the first dusting of flour, then you're going to run it through an egg wash. So just a little bit of egg and milk, almost like scrambled egg recipe. That's an egg wash. You're going to dredge it through that so it's wet again, and then you go in for a second coat of the breading. That dual coats with the egg sort of binding it together, the egg and the milk kind of binding it together. Then you fry that, and that's how you're going to get that thick golden brown exterior that you can really crunch into and makes it quite thick. You're actually consuming quite a bit of breading, so it makes it a bit more substantial, I suppose, when you're eating this. On top of that, fried chicken in the Philippines is always served with gravy and or tomato sauce. And I actually like to mix the gravy and tomato sauce together because it just sort of gives the gravy a little tang and a little bit of extra sweetness. But the gravy is very, very important. And I don't know if every country has fried chicken with gravy specifically. That seems to be quite a Filipino thing. And then rice. Gravy and rice. Doesn't feel quite right, but that's what we've done here in the Philippines, which is the whole point of this show, is explaining how this is really a globally evolved cuisine. Like, gravy is kind of, I think, from the UK. Fried chicken is definitely from the USA, and rice is definitely from Asia. So this feels like just a simple fried chicken meal is actually representing 3 different continents in terms of the influence on that. So there you go. That's my expose on the American influence on Filipino cooking and sharing with you my top 5 USA-inspired recipes here in the Philippines. What did you think? Leave a comment below. What did I miss? I'd love to do a crowdsourced version of this where we go through like your favorite things to do. And if you are based in the USA, so firstly a shout out sa lahat ng ating mga kabano na sa USA. Why don't you leave a comment of what you're doing there in the US to inspire USA food with a Filipino influence. So have a look at how you can get involved, but I'd love to hear from you guys your stories of how you're actually taking Filipino food and popularizing it in the US as well and influencing the other way. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to press this little bell here that turns on the notifications so that you never miss another episode of Food and Fun with me. And remember, at our Facebook page, marami na ng mga competition and giveaway. So kung dito ka sa Pilipinas, you can win some stuff. I'll see you all next time. I'm Chris Urbano. Bye now.